Привіт! I'm Chuck Olinik, a Ukrainian-American baptized with the name Yaroslav, which is also the name that I use in the historical reenactment group, the Society for Creative Anachronism, where I'm known as Yaroslav the Persistent or Yari. This is the second of two tales of Batu Khan, who burned Kyiv, the center of Kyiv and Rus, a city of 50,000 souls, to the ground and left like 200 homes there. And the folk hero, the Bogatyr Ilya of Murom or Ilya Muromets. It's a tale of heroes and villains and of a sad time in the history of this part of the world, for it marks the end of Kyiv and Rus as a political entity. Other skazki or kazki, basically tales in Russian or Ukrainian of this sort, unlike other tales, this one acknowledges the conquest of the Mongols and the beginning of the Tatar yoke, a period of rule by the Golden Horde, which lasted about 150 years. There's the recurring theme of some horde from the steppes threatening royal Kyiv town. In other tales, the villain is Idolishe, the idol or idolater, or Tsar Kalin and his pagan hordes. In this one, the big bad is Batu Khan himself, the grandson of Genghis Khan. It is he who will lay low and end Kyiv and Rus. But this is where history and lore blend, and the past is retold by blind Kobzari, the wandering minstrels and tellers of tales. And as I said before, why let facts spoil a good story? Who would tell us of the things of old, and of the things that have been, of that Ilya, of Ilya of Murom, of Ilya Muromets, the son of Ivan? Batu Khan, thinking the thoughts of a wolf, advanced upon royal Kyiv town. He had already crushed and burned other cities of the Rus, and now sought the jewel and the crown of the Rus. There, within sight of the city, he erected a gold-domed pavilion from which he watched the city. He demanded that his mightiest warrior be brought before him. The warrior, this mouth of Batu Khan, was garbed in the finest silks and was sent to the city. He entered Kyiv's gates and rode straight away to the palace, burst into the throne room and trampled its tables. There he dismounted, his upturned boots on a table, his rump on a chair. To Prince Volodymyr Brightson he cried like a raven in the tongue of the Rus, "Hear the words of Batu Khan, O Prince. He demands, clean all thy arrow-straight streets, remove the wondrous crosses from God's temples, and build horse stalls in the churches, for our good steeds shall be stabled there. And clean out all thy palaces of white stone, for our host is great. And brew and sweet, intoxicating liquors. Let cask stand upon cask in close array, for Batu Khan and his great host shall stand in thy city of Kyiv. Do as you are bidden, obey the great Khan, and he shall be gracious to you. Your head you will keep on your shoulders." Volodymyr heard, and Volodymyr mourned, for he had no idea what to do. There were no Bogatyri within the fair city, for his foul moods, his dishonorable actions, his tempers, had driven them off in disgust. Trembling, he put quill to paper. "O great Khan Batu, it shall be as you demand. My people shall clean all the arrow-straight streets of royal Kyiv town. They shall remove the wondrous crosses from God's temples and build horse stalls in the churches for your good steeds to be stabled there. The palaces of white stone shall be cleaned for your great host. Sweet, intoxicating liquors shall be brewed to slake the thirst of your warriors. Let cask stand upon cask in close array." But word of what was happening in royal Kyiv town reached the ears of Ilya Muromets, and he rode in search of the other Bogatyri. As he searched, he stumbled upon the vanguard of Batu Khan's great host, drawing both sword and mace. Cloudfall reared beneath him. Then, like a swirling storm, he charged straight at the host. He scythed that host like wheat, like grass. For 3 days he smote the host. Then Cloudfall conjured him with human tongue. "Aye, thou mighty Russian hero, boldly hast thou attacked this vast host, but thou mayest not overcome it. For that hound Batu Khan hath many great heroes and bold warrior maids, And moreover, he hath dug 3 great trenches in the open plain. If thou ride against that horde, we shall fall into those trenches. Out of the first I may leap and bear thee, and likewise out of the second. But out of the third I may not bear thee, and though I leap forth, thou wilt remain in the ditch. This discourse pleased not the old Cossack. He grasped his silken whip in his white hands, and beat the horse upon his flanks. Treacherous hound! I feed and water thee, and yet thou wilt abandon me in the deep ditches of the open plains? So he heeded not good Cloudfall's warning, but rode on, destroying the host with his spear, with his sword, with his mace, with his horse's hooves. And his strength was not diminished. When he fell into the first trench, his good steed bore him out in safety. Again he rode and came to the second ditch, and from that also he escaped. From the third, heroic Cloudfall leaped nimbly, but bore not Ilya with him, and fled far afield. Hearing that the great Ilya Muromets, Ilya of Murom, had fallen, and would be no further hindrance, Batu Khan commanded his horse to attack royal Kyiv town. Kyiv's wines and its feasts are yours for the taking, my dogs of the steppes. Like waves against rocks, the horde crashed against the walls of Kyiv. Within, boyars quivered, maidens fainted, and Volodymyr shut his doors and wept without hope, and Kyiv was left to the dogs and the wolves. But then 3 withered old men, bent with age, cried out and rallied the people of Kyiv with the voices of strong young men. Stand for your city, you serfs, you slaves, you people of the streets. Spill the wine, cast the meat upon the ground, tear it asunder, pick up bow and pike, man the walls. We won't let Batu Khan feast in our city unless it be a feast of boiling tar and arrows and spear points. Old men, boys, young women, girls, stand tall for Kyiv. And so they did, some with tar, some with swords, some with staves. And the old men in the city took the front line of defense, and they fought for a night and a day, driving back the first wave. But at last they bowed their gray heads, and they fell. Batu Khan sent a second wave of his wild horde in. These are not warriors you face, these are old men who are stopping you. Kill them, take the city. This time it was the young men who stepped forward, and they fought for a night and a day, and pushed back the second wave. But at last they too lay down their gold curls. Batu Khan was like a savage wolf, urging a third wave upon the city. Once again the walls of the city trembled and buckled. This time it was the women and girls who met the Mongols at the gates of royal Kyiv town. They too fought for a night and a day, until at last they lay their heads down, as had the old men and the young boys before them. The walls of the city wept in despair. The Mongols cheered as they entered the gates of the city. But what did they see? There were no casks of wine, no trestles of meat, no golden pavilions erected in their honor, for the Rus had destroyed everything they had. Better nothing remain that it falls to Batu. And the Mongols, enraged, turned to their chief. You called us to Kyiv, you called us to Rus, you promised us food and meat and wine, you promised us slaves. But now we must live as paupers amongst the ashes, for nothing remains of this city of gold. They turned away from their Khan, who stood amongst the ashes of royal Kyiv town. And now that Kyiv had fallen, what of the Bogatyri? Some say that the heroes Dobrynya, Nikitich, Alyosha, Popovich, and all the rest who once defended royal Kyiv town were to be found in the mountains, and that they had turned to stone, and that Ilya of Murom and Cloudfall were reunited and also turned to stone, and that one day they would return. It was at the feast I heard this tale, there it was, I drank mead ale. Though it flowed down my beard, my mouth stayed dry, for never a drop passed my lips, swear I.